New South Wales is on high alert tonight with more heavy rain set to hit already saturated areas. This map shows the extent of the severe weather event in both coastal and inland areas. 16 evacuation orders are still in place, mainly on the mid-north coast. 18,000 people have been told to leave their homes, and authorities are warning that number could rise. 34 regions have been declared natural disaster areas, and the Insurance Council has received more than 5,000 damage claims. With the wild weather set to continue, more than 300 schools will be closed tomorrow. On the mid-north coast, where many roads have been cut, there have been hundreds of rescues in challenging conditions. Claudia Jambor begins our coverage.
Rescue crews were taking no chances to safely evacuate their patient at Kempsey. The woman in her 80s had a fall at her home, leaving her with suspected broken hips. Authorities scrambled to assist, navigating the many hurdles in their way.
These guys have performed over 300 rescues up and down the mid-north coast from Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Taree.
You can see we've done this before.
From the mid-north coast to the central coast, floodwaters have isolated many communities. Emergency services have been grappling to keep affected towns connected to power and other essentials.
We've got the township of Comboyne right now has no water. So today we need to come up with some way that we're going to get water into that township.
Authorities have also been helping affected residents stock up on supplies.
I'm underwater. I've got an absolute waterfront property at the moment.
In Kempsey, residents are on high alert and are bracing for more rain.
No bread in town. I'll have to make another damper tonight.
On the central coast, residents at Tuggerah Lakes have been hit by flooding for the second time in just over a year.
No one can go to work. People lost their vehicles. My sister-in-law and brother have lost their granny flood again.
I've been a flood forecaster in the Bureau for 20 years. And this is probably the worst flooding that I've experienced.
The downpours of recent days are forecast to spread across much of the state. The Bureau of Meteorology has issued a severe weather warning for heavy rain and damaging winds that extends to far west New South Wales.
We've also extended the flood watch to cover areas of inland New South Wales, and we're particularly concerned about the north-western catchments of New South Wales.
A state in drought not that long ago, now saturated. Claudia Jambor, ABC News, Kempsey.
There was a slight reprieve in parts of Western Sydney today. Evacuation orders for some suburbs were lifted as floodwaters receded. But warnings have now been extended to other parts of Greater Western Sydney, including Londonderry and closer to the city at Greystanes and Wetherill Park. The Bureau of Meteorology says the next 24 to 36 hours will be critical. And a warning, some images in this story are distressing.
A woman waves to the helicopter in a desperate plea for help as a group cut off by floodwaters bands together to save a horse. A man jumps on the horse to try to bring it back to life, but his attempts are in vain. Since the Warragamba Dam's floodgates opened on Saturday, around 3,000 residents have been ordered to evacuate from suburbs along the Nepean and Hawkesbury rivers.
Please be ready. If you've been asked to be on alert, make sure you're packed and ready to go in case you do need to get evacuated at short notice.
Lisa Sullivan lives in Windsor. She says the water began inundating her home yesterday.
Probably about half a metre at this point, and we're hoping it doesn't go too much higher. We've got another level at about a metre above that.
Despite the destruction, she says the community remains resilient, with the river expected to peak later tonight.
Floods and fire and whatever else it throws at us, we've got this.
Nearby, Paul Luckman and his neighbours are preparing for the worst.
We didn't expect this, obviously. It crept up slowly.
Residents and emergency services worked through the night.
We're going through about 80 to 100 tonnes of sand, which we think will be about 8 to 10,000 sandbags.
Many will go without sleep again tonight to ensure they're as prepared as possible.
Can I stress the priority right here and now is getting people out safely from their homes and saving as many people and obviously lives and as property as much as possible.
The water lapping at homes has already swallowed whole buildings. The sheer power of these floodwaters is evident. The force picking up this shipping container and carrying it downstream. In Penrith, it appears the risk has subsided, but residents remain on high alert.
Good thing, as we've noticed in the bridge, the line of the water, it is really lower down.
I don't want it to flood too much.
This family have returned home after evacuating yesterday.
Yeah, it looks like we're fine, luckily. But it's a bit crazy, never had anything like it before.
A flood crisis of huge proportions that's still far from over. Nakari Thorpe, ABC News, Windsor.
And for the latest, reporter Jonathan Hare joins me now from South Windsor. Jonathan, what's the situation there tonight?
Well, it's still pouring down here in South Windsor at the moment, and the floodwaters behind me are still rising. There's actually meant to be a golf course behind me, but from what I can see, there's just one massive body of water. You definitely can't see much except some trees sticking out the top of that water. Just to give you an idea of how deep it is as well, there are some power poles that are about a metre away from being, the power lines are about a metre away from being completely submerged by this water. It's absolutely everywhere. There's a playground underwater over there, a dog park underwater over there. It's moving closer to homes, and residents are coming down to have a look at what's going on before they head back inside. But of course, for residents, it's such an anxious night ahead, especially for those who already have water through their homes. They'd love to see what kind of damage has been done, but they can't do that until these floodwaters recede.
Jonathan Hare reporting there.